I'm more excited, happy, and also, delighted to share this wisdom with you all. I share some pointers from based on my experience, and also from my life, and also from the teachings that I learned from my teachers, masters. And we first take some pointers about this nature of self, and then we'll go through a guided session after sharing a few pointers. Before we go into the topic, let me brief about myself, my past history. Uh, so I worked as software engineer earlier in Wipro and then Oracle Corporation for 2.5 years. While working, I was highly successful in the eyes of the world, but inside there was no joy. There's a great success outside in terms of money, name, everything. But somewhere there is a void, somewhere there is a gap in me, somewhere something is haunting me, which was telling from within that this is not your cup of tea. You have to do something else. But at that time, it was actually happened in the year 2010, 11, and 12. But there was no clarity. I was going through a lot of confusions, a lot of inner turbulence, unable to balance, manage the inner life. Outer life is okay, it was wonderful, but inner life with full of confusions, with no clarity. That time I decided to know who I am, why I have taken birth. So there are many questions at that time. That time I met Dr. Newton Gonaviti, founder of Quantum Life University. Uh, just before meeting him, I learned meditation, breath awareness, Anapanasati meditation. And then that meditation started giving me some insights. And after meeting Dr. Newton, I decided to join with him in the journey of life in Life University. So that has given me some clarity. The decision that I took, joining Dr. Newton gave me some clarity. So I joined the Soul Coach Training Program course. There I learned the spiritual wisdom, life skills, mastery of inner senses, and mastery of awakening our inner wisdom within. This helps me clarity in finding out the purpose of my life. Then I started looking at life differently. And now I am a corporate trainer working with corporates, schools, colleges, and teaching all awakening programs through various concepts of life, health, money, relationships, and stress management, and many. So here today, I share some concepts about this self. What is the real nature of the self? We all know that the self is within us. We think that we are living our life to the fullest, but we have not touched the deeper aspects of ourselves. So to go into the deeper aspects of ourselves, first we need to know who we are. To know who we are, we need to know who we are not. So that's where the real difference comes. Whether we are living from the self, from the deeper self, inner self, or just living from the peripherals. Like if we look at the ocean from a distance, if we observe the ocean, what we see all the tides, all the waves, ripples coming and going back. The ripples with a lot of sound, but the sound that is coming, the waves that are coming, is not the ocean. It is just the surface of the ocean. And if we just go into the middle of the ocean, and there are no sounds, there is absolute stillness. There is a deep stillness inside. Same with us. We have this amazing mind, the instrument which we can use, but the mind is using us. Instead of we use the mind is using us. So all these spiritual practices or inner practices that we follow will help us to connect to the inner self so that we can live our life from the core. Life is effortless, life is joyful, life is friendly, life is like a play. like how a child plays every day with whatever the things he or she has. We can also play in life like that. But we are far away from the deeper self, from the essential self within us. And we see life as struggle, life as misery, life as full of problems. Why some people always be joyful, and why some people they experience a lot of difficulties, a lot of problems, is because they are not living the life to the fullest. So for this, we have this great ancient wisdom that has given by great rishis, masters about life. Today we have many organizations. We gone through schools, we've gone through colleges. We learn so many concepts about science, maths, physics, chemistry, zoology, every science, whatnot, everything. We are engineers outside, and we have not engineered inside. The inner engineering, consciousness engineering has not happened yet. No schools in the world, no colleges in the world are teaching about life. So that is the reason many youngsters, if we see many students, they are going into depression, and youngsters without jobs, they are going into depression, and also having suicidal tendencies, and a lot of issues that we are facing in day-to-day life, not only in one country but throughout globe. This is happening because we were not taught about how to live life, what is the meaning of life, what is the purpose of life, and we have not learned from any school or college about how to manage our own mind, how to manage our emotions, how to balance between the inner life and outer life. Actually, there is one life, the inner and outer, but there is a disconnection that happened from the inner life. That's why we see all the troubles, all the miseries in life. So, according to Vedic tradition, there are five afflictions which brings human suffering. The five afflictions that we call are five kleshas. Let me share the slide with you so that you can see these pointers. Just give me a second. Yes, yeah. So here, if you can see these five kleshas, it has explained in Upanishads and also Vedic wisdom about what brings human suffering. So these are the main five causes of human suffering. Kleshas means the forms of suffering. Klesha is the word from Sanskrit, so which represents the suffering. The first form of suffering comes from ignorance. Ignorance is nothing but not knowing our true self, not knowing our true power, not knowing our true wisdom within. We identify, we attach with external things. That brings suffering. Ignorance, the more ignorance we have, the more suffering we have in our life. And the second form of suffering is asmita. Asmita means ego, or what we say, identity. Identity with our job, with our money, with our name and fame. This is called asmita. That means ego consciousness, ego self. This keeps always away from our deeper self. Next is raga. Raga means attachment. Attachment with things outside of us. That brings the suffering. Excuse me. And then Vesha. Vesha means hatredness. Hatred towards someone or something. Then the fifth one is Abhinivesha. Abhinivesha means fear of death. Death fear that we have. all the fears that we have, it carries the fear of death element in it. So these five forms of suffering create misery in our life. So our consciousness, our energy is identified with one of those things which brings the suffering. So if we can notice, we can examine our life. Am I ignorant at anything? Or am I identified with my ego? Or am I identified with my attachment? Am I identified with any hatred feelings? Or do I carry any fears? So if we have suffering means we have identified with one of these things. These ancient masters, they have given this blueprint map for life. So this we need this wisdom, this education, holistic education for everyone, so that one can balance our own emotions, our own mind, our own life, and we live to the fullest. So if we see the person with restless thoughts, full of thoughts, they miss the clarity. They always carry these inner dialogues within, which will which will not allow us to go within. We are too much identified with the mind process. On an average, we get hundreds of thousands of thoughts. On an average, 50 to 90,000 thoughts that we get. So all these thought waves, like waves in the ocean, the surface of the ocean, they deplete all our essential energy. So we need to detach from this restless thinking mind. And then when we enter into this peaceful state of mind, and then we can restore our life, we can bring balance in our life. For that we need to move from the past to the present. We need to always move from the past to the presence. So we are to access the presence within, we should remove the anchors from the past. Suppose you are driving a car, you need to look ahead so that you can drive safely. And also you will have a rear view mirror beside your car, and you can look into that mirror whenever it is needed. And whenever you want to take a right turn or U-turn, you can look into that mirror before you take the right turn or left turn, so that you will see which vehicles are coming from the back, so that you miss the accidents and you will continue your journey. Suppose imagine that you are always looking into the side mirror or rear view mirror, not focusing on the road straight ahead, and you may miss the journey. You may meet an accident. So it's like that. Past can be the reference point to look into certain things, like where you have done some mistake and what is that you learned from that mistake, and then you have to step out of that past. Generally what happens, most of our energy, most of our consciousness, most of the times we either live in the past or we live in the future, and whole our life energy is wasting because of this. Too much of investment of energy into the past, and too much of investment of energy into the future. So constantly if we can bring ourselves back into this moment, into this present moment, then we can live fully. We can access the higher energy, higher dimension within us. So it is not simple. This is a continuous effort that is required to bring that presence back within us. So, as when we live in the past or when we live in the future, what happens? We identify with our shadow. We live with our shadow. That's what living in the shadow means. Living in the shadow means we keep away ourselves from our original self, our true self, and we think that we are our fears, we are our worries, and we think that we are unable to come out of the problems, we are unable to come out of the challenges of life, and life becomes struggle, and life becomes difficult to us when we live from our shadow self. Shadow self is the self which is not healed, which is not cleared. Like if you look at the sky, like now I'm talking from Hyderabad. It's full of clouds here, full of raining here, and we can enjoy the rain. But with this full of clouds, the sun rays they are not reaching the earth fully. There is a fog, there is a cloud, there is a darkness, even though it's mid afternoon, but it is appearing very dark outside. It's because there are full of clouds which are covering that sun energy. If we can examine, if we can relate this with our life, our soul, ourself, the infinite power which we have, it is hiding behind it because of these clouds of thoughts, too many clouds. They are like working like a filter. They are like a mask that we have, and we can't see anything clearly. So these thought waves, these mind waves need to be cleared so that you can see the sun, the God, the soul, the self within us awaken, within us born. So for this, we need to question ourselves. Who am I? Throughout the ages, many people ask, many masters asked this question and they found the answers. And in our life also, we get these questions. Why I am going into suffering? Why am I attracting problems into my life? So when we get this question like why all these things happening to me, why some people are happy, what is that I can change in myself? With this self-reflection, with this self-analysis, then we can move ahead from these problems, from this past, from this shadow self to the lighter self of us. So to know about who we are, first we need to know that whatever that we say about ourselves is not our true self. We are wearing the mask, like we are seeing the world with the eyes of the mask that we wear. This mask is like our identity, external identity that we can show to the world. But behind that mask, there is a greater self which is wanting to be seen, wanting to be expressed, wanting to be share that gifts of the soul. So, many people, either consciously or unconsciously, we identified with these patterns or blockages from within, fears or worries or negative thoughts or anything that limits us is our darker side. So there is also a lighter side of us. There are beautiful qualities that we have, and also we have many inner gifts that are waiting to be born. But most of the times, because of this past identification, because of this identification with the lower self, we can't empower ourselves. We can't bring the manifestation into the physical world. We can't experience fullness, richness, or wholeness of life. For that, we need to know who we are not, to get the answers for these questions. Who am I? Why I am here? What is my purpose? These are all the life questions. To get answers for these questions, we need to know where we are identified with. We need to know who we are not. So Socrates said this beautiful saying: "Examine your life." He said, "Unexamined life is not worth living." If we need to examine our life to live our life from our worth, from our fullest potentiality. So let us look into these false identities or six things that we are not. One is you are not your name. Our name, suppose my name is Loknath. The Loknath is not the real self. It is the name given to me after I taken birth. After a few years after I took the birth. So if I am attached with the name too much, I am at the peripherals. I'm not reaching the deeper level. And second thing is false identity is you are not your body. This body is your house. The self, real self, is living in this house, and that's not our real self. And you are not your mind. The mind thoughts that are coming and going. It's like wavering all the time. That's not who you are. And also, you are not your occupation. You, if you identify with one occupation, like you are a manager or CEO or a chairman of the company, and you limit your highest energy to that particular role, you are multi-dimensional self. You can do multiple things. You can bring your potentiality into many things. That's why these jobs will change, roles will change, but that occupation, that role is not you. And fifth identity is you are not your relationships. People come and go in your life. Many youngsters, they fall in love with a girl or boy, they fall in love, and they see themselves in the other person. And when the other person is away, they go into depression, they go into suffering, they go into emotional whirlpool. It's because they are seeing themselves outside of them. There are many entries and many exits. Like many people come in our life and they go in our life. They should not determine our own identity. And the sixth identity is you are not your country, you are not your race, you are not your religion, or any of the other labels that you have placed upon yourself. All these are all false identities. They are keeping yourself, your soul away from you. So we need to come out of these things. So for this, many master says, as you think, so shall you be. Whatever that you think, if you think you are powerful, powerful you become. If you think you are strong, strong you become. If you think you are weak, weak you become. So we need to be aware of what thoughts that we are thinking, what words that we are speaking, because that's what creating our reality. And here if we see these two words, problem and solution. If you identify with problem, then you will see problems all the time. Because wherever we put our attention will expand in our life. If your attention is in the past, you are in the past. If your attention is in the future, you are in the future. If your attention is fully grounded into this moment, then you get solutions for all your problems. And you won't see problem as a problem. You see problem as an opportunity to grow in life. So that's why we need to disidentify from this problem self. No problem consciousness. We need to enter into this no problem consciousness. So problems may come, they will test you, they will be like a trigger point to you, and they will, each time you get a problem, you get the opportunity to learn something, and also you grow exponentially. And the Swami Vivekananda used to say, if you don't have any problems in your life, no challenge in your life, that means you are not growing. Like you are driving on a highway with 180 speed in your BMW car, and you find somewhere speed breakers, and those speed breakers are like caution boards. They are like pass points where you can be aware without losing ourselves in that speed driving. Our life also, all the problems are like they are like tests, they are like challenges. Like in college we have exams, right? Without exams we won't get certification, we won't promote into the higher education. Like that, even in real life also we get problems, we get challenges. And once we pass that problem, once we pass that test, and we grow leaps and bounds. That's why I always say yes to problems, say yes to challenges. Always, whenever any problem comes, tell to yourself, what is the lesson that I learned from this, and what is the gift that this problem is going to give me. Then inner doors will open from within, and you will get solutions for that problem. So always keep your attention on the highest potentiality of you, and you have the talents within, you have the gifts that you are born with. Every one of us, without exception, we have a gift. We have talents within. We have the talent bank within. You may be singer, dancer, or speaker, or teacher. It can be in any profession, but you are best doing at that. And identify, how to identify those, how to recognize those talents, gifts of the soul. Asking yourself the question, what are my gifts? What are my talents? Whenever you get up from the bed, whenever you close your eyes, ask yourself, what are my soul, what are my unique gifts, what are my unique talents? Then the inner talents will activate from within. And this quotation given by the master Patanjali, the sage Patanjali, which I love to read this again and again and again and again. How to these words of wisdom will help us to activate the inner dimension, inner potentiality of the self. So let me go through, read these words of wisdom given by Patanjali. When you are inspired by some great purpose, some extraordinary project, all your thoughts break their bonds. Because many times, unknowingly, unconsciously, we identify with our problems, we identify with our limitations. But if you take up some project, if you take up some great work, then all your mind patterns will go away. Your thoughts break all the limitations. Your mind transcends the limitations, and your consciousness expands in every direction. And you find yourself in a new, great, and wonderful world. Dormant forces, faculties, and talents become alive. These words are so powerful. Dormant forces, faculties, and talents become alive. I always read this. Each time I read this, there is a charged energy within me. Because we all have that, the dynamic energy, infinite energy, which is waiting to be born. And if we take up some greater cause, if we work towards some greater purpose, which is beyond our personal things, and then all these inner dynamics activates, all the forces within start to come into active mode. Dormant forces, faculties, and talents become alive. And you discover yourself to be a greater person by far than you ever dreamed yourself to be. So this is very inspiring, igniting the spark within each one of us. We have the seed potentiality within, the seed God self within, and that seed has only one desire. It wants to be born. If you take any seed, the small seeds, it has the big tree in it. We can't see the tree if we open that seed, but there is a treeness in that seed. Only when we put that seed into the fertile ground, when we water it, when we nourish it, then that seed sprouts, and then that seed becomes the plant, and it becomes a big tree, a big banyan tree, where it gives shelter to many people, many birds. Under the tree shade, many beings live. They are also like that. There is a power, there is a dynamic energy which is in the potential form that needs to be tapped into, that needs to be awakened. Then you become master of yourself. You become, that is your true self, that is the nature of the self. And if you tap into that potentiality, you will see many changes in outer life. Like example, you get lot of friends, to meet many people, and to expand your friendship with many people. Second thing is, you not only live for yourself, and also you live for others. And you always have this question within you, that urge within you: how may I serve? How may I serve? How can I help people? How can I contribute my talents to the world? How can I awaken people? And also you seek bundles of creativity expressing to you, and you see, you always experience timelessness. You go beyond this time bound awareness, you experience full presence within. And if you live from this true state of self, people want to listen to you, people want to be with you, people want to connect with you, people want to make friendship with you, because the real self is in full active mode. So that seed self, that God self in the seed form is sleeping, waiting to be born. Only thing is, we need to activate, we need to awaken that potentiality. Then all the outer dynamics of life will change. Then you see the grander self, you see the grandness of life, you see the richness of life, you see full of abundance in your life. And according to Vedanta, there are only two symptoms of awakening, two symptoms of enlightenment. One is things or people won't bother you anymore. This is the first symptom of enlightenment. And second thing is more and more synchronicities, more and more coincidences start to happen in your life. You will see, think about a person, suddenly that person will call you. You want some money, and someone from your friends or relatives, they call you back and they say, I have a lot of money. If you want, you can take. I'll help you. Even before you ask, help will offer to you. Help will come to you from many people. So these two things. One is you will get problems, you will get challenges, but they won't bother you much. Second thing is you will get many meaningful coincidences, and you grow in life exponentially. So this is what living from the level of the soul. This is what living from the core of our being. That is the real self. All the other things are like projections. When you look into the mirror, when you are looking into the mirror, each time from now on, this can be a practice for you. When you look into the mirror, look into that image that you are seeing. Say to yourself by looking into your eyes in the mirror, whatever that I am seeing is my image. That's my self image. It's not me. As I am watching that image, the watcher is me. Whoever watching from me, that is me. The image may change from time to time, but the one who is looking at the image in this mirror is not changing, is permanent, it is eternal, it is never born, it never dies. Nothing destroys from that state of being, because it is your original self, it is your true self. So let us start living from that deeper self of life. So this is what the real nature of the self, and you become more aware person, more conscious person, and nothing stops your growth. You always continue your journey of life with the flow, like how a bird flies effortlessly. You live life effortlessly, like a fish swim effortlessly, like a blade of grass, it just grows spontaneously, effortlessly. You also live life if you connect to that deeper self. So for just a few minutes now, these are the pointers, these are the sutras that we can use in our life, and to examine our life. We will just have a quick, short, guided process where I can guide you to connect to the inner stillness. So I request you all, whoever are watching this video, this talk, just allow yourself to close your eyes just for 5 minutes. We will go into our inner depths. Just with closed eyes, just notice from within. Go into your inner life. There is a life within, beyond this body, beyond this mind. And pay attention to your breathing, in breath and out breath. Just watching inhalation and exhalation. As Socrates said, to examine our life, unexamined life is not worth living. So let us examine our life from within. As we are breathing, just be with that effortless breath. You are not trying to breathe. Body is breathing. Natural breathing. Just pay attention to this breath. This normal, natural breath will remind us about the flow of life. Our life is like this breath. If we can tune into that inner wisdom, just silently watching the breath. As we are watching this breath, these thoughts may come and go like passing clouds. Let them come and go. Do not try to control them. Whenever you notice that you are thinking, gently shift your attention from thoughts to the breath. Mindfulness of breathing. With every inhalation, welcome life into you. Every exhalation, let go of all the stress and strain. As you are watching the breath, listen to these words that are coming through my voice. Just access the stillness within. Notice the gaps between the thoughts, the silent spaces in between two thoughts. That is your inner space, inner stillness, going beyond all these external identities. Thoughts may come and go like passing clouds. Watching, witnessing. You are living in this body, in this time and space. You are not just this body. You are more than the body. I am more than my body. Just silently listen to these words. I am more than my mind. I am the space. I am stillness. Each one of us have God in embryo. It has only one desire. It wants to be born. It wants to be expressed. Allow yourself to reach to that depths of your being. Going beyond the past and future. Accessing the core presence within. Just 3 more minutes. This inner essence, the inner presence is formless, nameless, dimensionless, timeless, infinite, eternal existence. Just paying attention into this inner being. I am infinite being. I am powerful being. I am beyond mind. I am beyond my body. I am eternal presence manifesting as physical body, expressing as mind in this time and space. Just one more minute. I am presence. I am pure. I am me. I am unique. I am special being created by this universe. Thank you, God. Thank you, universe, for making me exactly as I am. There is no one in this universe exactly like you. You are you. I am me. Thank you, universe. Thank you, God. Thank you. Last 5 seconds. From today onwards, I live my life from this core being. I am the creator of my life. Thank you, my soul. 5, 4, 3, 2. Slowly coming back. 1. Becoming alert, aware, awake, 0. And slowly place your hands on your eyes for a few seconds before opening your eyes. Gently touch the eyelids. And then slowly remove your hands and open your eyes. Welcome back to this waking state of consciousness. Thank you so much for listening to me. And now it's open session now for you all to ask any questions, any doubts, or any sharing that you would like to have now. It's open now, friends.
Thank you, Loknath, Master. Like, it's a fantastic training and a lot of good slides and good information. Thank you very much. And guys, let's have any questions you can feel free to ask. Unmute yourself and you can talk as well. I'm unmuting all.
I think everyone is out of this inner space from the meditation.
Hello, Loknath Garu. This is Priya.
Hi, Priya. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful session. Ganta, 1 hour explained. Beautiful, amazing. Love all the session, like meditation, slides, information. Beautiful, and quite a few new things, especially near Chetina car and side mirror. That one was fantastic, where you actually have to drive and you watch the mirror just for reference. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Priya ma'am. You have any questions to ask? You can ask.
Not at the moment, but yeah maybe sometime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much.
We have 5 more minutes about him. Feel free to ask anything. I just want to. Yep. Thank you very much, Loknath sir. Like, it's a fantastic topic, and you covered very in detail and a different viewpoint. Thank you very much for your time. Definitely, looking forward to have some more session in the future.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Suresh Garu and Hari Garu, for inviting me to share some points from me. Thank you so much for this opportunity to connect with you all. I love to connect to your presence. Thank you so much for all of you.
Great. Loknath, this is Hari.
Hi, Hari. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for accepting as soon as I asked within a short
Yeah.
time period.
Yeah.
So good to see you after so many years
Yes,
and on a
yes,
good
yeah.
platform.
Yes.
Still cherish all the memories we had. So
Yeah.
good to know. Roads crossed again.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We'll have more and more sessions, and
Sure.
really appreciate it. And it was really a great concept.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good evening,
Thank you.
and
Thank
have a
you.
good night, everyone.